Okay, good afternoon to one and all. Those present, student, physical as well as online. Good afternoon. In the previous lecture, we have covered the all the types of welding. So last point was gas welding that we covered. Now, for the today's session, we'll discuss the two important joining processes. Okay, which comes under the permanent joining. That is, one is soldering process and second is brazing process. So when we have started the joining process, we have a little bit discussion on the permanent joining and the temporary joining, and in between Yashpal sir has entered and given some made some discussion regarding the joining processes. So now we will discuss in detail what is soldering process and what are the standard steps to do the soldering. So am I audible? I can, Sarvana?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the there are two processes. Those comes under the category of a permanent joining process, that is soldering and brazing. Soldering process and the joining brazing process. Okay. Let us understand the definition of the soldering. What is exactly soldering? Anyone knows? Have you seen the soldering process anywhere? Where? In repairing shop, where the electronic devices are repaired. In that shop, you might have seen there's a soldering process. Okay, so this soldering process you can apply to the mechanical devices also, mechanical parts also. So everybody has seen, or it is for electronic devices. Whenever you want to join the wire to the PCB, printed circuit board, so you can use the soldering process. So that is known to everyone. But additionally, if there are mechanical parts, metal plates that you want to join it by soldering process, that is also possible. Okay, how to do this soldering? That we'll discuss in detail. So firstly, we will understand the definition. What is soldering exactly? So soldering is the process of joining similar or dissimilar metals. So I'm using the word similar and dissimilar metals by heating them. Okay, by heating them to a certain temperature. Okay, so whatever the filler material is there, that temperature of that filler material, we have to understand it should be below 450 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that is called as soldering process. So they have given definition. It is a method of joining similar or dissimilar metals by the application of heat and using filler metal. What is filler metal here? Soldering, whatever the solder we are using, we can call as a filler material also. Solder it is a consumable material. When we carry out the heating by using some electricity, so that solder will get melted and that it is coated with the flux or it is dipped in the flux. कधी-कधी कसं असते जे तुम्ही filler material म्हणून यूज करताय as a solder, त्याला कधी-कधी flux coating केलेलं असतं किंवा नसेल तर ते तुम्ही you have to use the flux additionally. आणि flux का वापरायचा आम्ही सांगितलेलं आधीच, to remove the impurities or to avoid the oxidation reaction. That is why we are applying the flux over the welded portion. So the definition is that it is a method of joining similar or dissimilar metals by the application of heat using filler material or alloy called solder, whose melting temperature is below 450 degrees Celsius. That is called as soldering process. Right. So what are the filler material you are going to take? It is called as solder. Okay. So we have to keep heating. It should be below melting temperature of a, whatever the melting temperature should be below 450 degrees Celsius. That is called as soldering process. Now for doing the soldering, there are different types we have to consider. One is soft solder, second is medium solder, then third is plumber solder, and fourth one is इलेक्ट्रिशियन सोल्डर. ओके, आता वेगळे एरियाज आहेत की तुम्हाला हा सोल्डर यूज करता येतोय. And whatever the filler material that we are using as a solder, it is lead and tin. Lead and tin material, or you can say use aluminum, zinc. These are the filler materials we can use in the soldering processes. But we are using maximum lead and tin with by varying the percentage, composition percent. Okay. In some soft solder, if you consider, lead percentage is 37% and tin percentage is 63%. When you talk about the medium solder, lead will be 50% and tin will be 50%. Again, in case of plumber solder, lead will be 70% and tin will be 30%. Okay. And the last one is electrician solder. So where the lead will be 58% and the tin will be 42%. Okay. So this is what the soldering process. Basically, we should understand the definition of soldering. Then what are the filler materials used in the soldering process? त्याला तुम्ही filler material म्हणा किंवा solder म्हणा. Are you getting? So write the definition. Definition of soldering. It is the process of joining. It is the process of joining similar or dissimilar metals by hitting them to a specified temperature, by hitting them to a specified temperature below 450 degrees Celsius, and using non-ferrous filler material, ओके. पहिला तुम्हाला डेफिनेशन माहित पाहिजे सोल्डरिंग नेमकं काय असते, काय टेम्परेचर रेंज असते. नेक्स्ट लाइन. Filler materials for soldering process. Filler materials for the soldering process dash lead dash tin alloy. Lead, L-E-A-D, lead dash tin alloy. Lead dash tin alloy, comma, zinc and aluminum. Then write the solder is used for different purposes. The solder is used for different purposes are given below. पहिला soft solder. Mention soft solder, medium, it's dash, lead is 37%, tin is 63%. Then second is medium solder, lead is 50%, tin is 50%. So write all these solders. Okay, noted. Now let us see how to do the soldering. To understand the soldering, we will have one diagram. It's a construction detail you can see, and through that you can get the idea how to do the soldering. Just I will share that diagram. Is it visible? So we'll have to draw this diagram. So two metal pieces are taken here. You want to make the soldering. So filler material you can say as a solder, soldering iron. It gives the to this you can pass the current and you can heat these metal pieces. We'll see that how the soldering process is carried out. Okay, what are the standard steps to do the soldering? If there are two metal pieces that you want to join by soldering, right? So first of all, we'll have to clean what are the surfaces that you want to join. पहिलं काय करून घ्यायचं? Make it straight. First of all, make it straight. If there are certain waviness, थोडासा सुद्धा तिरका असेल तर त्याला काय करा? Make it straight. त्याला perfectly flat करून घ्या. Both the metal pieces. Then second step is we have to clean completely. Clean the two metal pieces. There should not be any dust on that. Then next is we have to overlap those two plates that you want to join. Okay, or where you want to join these two plates, accordingly we arrange. Then apply the heating. Okay, we have to apply the heat by using soldering iron. So you can supply the current through that and you can heat the metal parts. Okay, and you can carry out the heating till the melting of a metal. Okay, and then as well as you have to take the filler material near to that. So filler material will get melted. But one thing you have to ensure is before what are the filler material you are using, it should be dipped in the flux. Okay, you have to dip in the flux Then we have to take nearer to the whatever the soldering iron where heating is carried out, so that filler material will get melted and it spread or it moves in the gap. Whatever the gap is there, there you want to join the metal pieces. इथे काय होतंय की पहिल्या सुरुवातीला आपण 2 मेटल प्लेट घेतल्या, त्याला पहिला स्ट्रेट करून घेतलं. पुढच्या स्टेप मध्ये काय केलं, ते पूर्ण सरफेसेस क्लीन केले. तिसऱ्या स्टेप मध्ये ते ओव्हरलॅप केल्या. ओव्हरलॅप केल्यानंतर परत हिटिंग चालू केलं. करंट सप्लाय करून हिटिंग करायचं, मेल्टिंग स्टेजला आलं पाहिजे ते मेटल पीसेस, तिथे आपल्याला जॉईन करायचं. त्याच्यानंतर ते फिलर मटेरियल जे आहे त्याला तुम्ही सोल्डर म्हणता, तो सोल्डर घ्यायचं त्याच्या जवळ आणि ते मेल्टिंग सोल्डर मेल्टिंगच्या अगोदर काय करायचं, फ्लक्स मध्ये डीप करून घ्यायचं आणि नंतर मग ते हिटिंग कॅरी आउट करून मेल्टिंग झाल्यानंतर दॅट विल गेट फ्लोज इन द गॅप. जो काही गॅप आहे त्या गॅप मध्ये ते काय होईल, फिलर मटेरियल अँड दिस मेल्टेड मेटल will get flows in the gap and the soldering will get completed. Okay, so this way it is simplest way to do the soldering process. एकदम इझिली तुम्ही ते सोल्डरिंग वर्क कॅरी आउट करू शकता. तुम्ही याच्यामध्ये बघितले इलेक्ट्रिशियन जे काही कंपोनंट असतात, पीसीबी बोर्ड असेल किंवा त्याच्या ठिकाणी वायर्स तुम्हाला जॉईन करायचे असतील, इट इज व्हेरी क्विकली यू कॅन डू ना. जो काही सोल्डरिंग गन असतो त्याला तुम्ही तिथे पुढे सोल्डर जोडले असते, एक अल्युमिनियमची वायर तर तुम्ही मेल्ट करता, दॅट इज ऍक्टिंग एज अ फिलर मटेरियल. बरोबर आहे का. एक वायर असते त्याला तुम्ही हिटिंग केल्यानंतर ती वायर मध्ये तुम्ही बरोबर ती जवळ घेता आणि मेल्ट करता. मराठीमध्ये तुम्ही त्याला डागणी म्हणता. ऍक्च्युअली इट इज अ सोल्डरिंग आणि त्याच्यावर तुम्ही ती वायर फिट करू शकता किंवा वेल्ड करू शकता. सो सेम थिंग इज ऍप्लिकेबल फॉर द इफ द कंपोनेंट्स मेटल पीसेस आर देअर, यू वॉन्ट टू जॉइन इट, you can apply the same process. Getting? So this is the soldering process. You can note down the steps, standard steps that you can follow. Just I will present here. Right on step or the sequence of operations. You can see the three-dimensional components, 3D of the soldering process. आता इथं काय चालू आहे, इलेक्ट्रिकल कंपोनंट घेतलेला आहे, पीसीबी बोर्डावरती ते वायर तुम्ही जॉईन करता. जस्ट नोट डाउन द सिक्वेन्स ऑफ ऑपरेशन्स इन सोल्डरिंग. सिक्वेन्स ऑफ ऑपरेशन्स इन द सोल्डरिंग. Sequence of operations in the soldering. Step number 1. Step number 1. Straightening of the metal plates. Straightening of the metal plates. Straightening of the metal plates to be joined. To be joined. Second step, cleaning the surface. Cleaning the surface. Then third, application of flux. You have to apply the flux. Then next, application of heat and solder. Application of heat and solder. आता काय जणांचं कन्फ्युजन असेल, सोल्डर काय म्हणतात. सोल्डर यू कॅन, अनदर वर्ड इज फिलर मटेरियल. जे सोल्डर आहे त्याला तुम्ही काय म्हणू शकता, फिलर मटेरियल. डोंट कन्फ्यूज हियर. Okay, so whatever the molten metal will get circulated in the gap by using capillary action. If the part is complicated and you want to join it, so you can join it by supplying the or by passing the metal molten metal in the, by capillary action. You can go for the capillary action and you can supply the molten metal over there. सोल्डरिंग करत असताना कधी कधी पार्ट असे असतात की तुम्हाला सरफेस असं जॉईन केलेलं आहे, आता परफेक्ट असं जॉईन करायचं मध्येच तुम्हाला तिथे जॉईन करायचं, तर तुम्ही काय करा असं ओव्हरलॅप करा आणि तिथं कॅपिलर ऍक्शनच्या माध्यमातून मेटल पास करा मोल्टन मेटल and you can complete the joint. So this is the these are the steps that we can follow for doing the soldering operation. Then next point is advantages and disadvantages applications. So what are the advantages and disadvantages? काय सांगता येईल मग? काय काय सांगता advantages? Who will tell advantages of this? एक तर advantage सांगता येईल का नाही? Or disadvantages? Soldering operation is done quickly, na? As compared to other types of processes. Soldering can be done quickly. Azun, it is portable. Very common. Then third, yes, varieties of metals can be joined. Varieties of metals can be joined. That is also one advantage. Cost kami hai, yes, less cost. Then disadvantages, low power is required. Correct. Disadvantages, strength of the joint is comparatively less than the welding process. If you compare this soldering with the welding process, so which strength is more? जे काय सोल्डरिंगची स्ट्रेंथ असणार आहे आणि वेल्डिंगची स्ट्रेंथ कंपॅरिझन केलं पुन्हा जास्त असणार आहे वेल्डिंगची ना, सोल्डरिंगची कमी असणार आहे. सो दिस इज वन डिसएडवांटेज यू कॅन सी. ओके, सो राइट सम एडवांटेजेस ऑन दिस. राइट डाउन. Advantages, large variety of parts can be joined. Large variety of parts can be joined. Then second point, it is portable. It is portable. Next, less cost. Less cost. Doesn't require much skilled operator. Yes, doesn't require much skilled operator. It takes less time. It takes less time. It takes less time. Okay, disadvantages. Disadvantages. Strength of soldered joint. Strength of soldered joint is less than brazed joint. आपण soldering and brazing लाच compare करूया. Brazed joint. Strength of soldered joint. Strength of soldered joint is less than brazed joint. आपण brazing process पुढे शिकणार आहोत. Strength of soldered joint is less than brazed joint. B-R-A-Z-E-D, brazed joint. Again, safety devices needs to be wear. Safety devices needs to be wear. आता इथं अजून एक सांगता येईल disadvantage. Here filler material is required. It requires filler material. It requires filler material. It requires filler material. Okay, then applications. मगाच नोट केले बघा. Number 1, joining the wires on printed circuit boards. Joining the wires on printed circuit boards, that is PCB. Joining the wires in printed circuit boards. Printed circuit boards. Joining the variety of metals in fabrication industries. Joining the variety of metals in fabrication shop. Fabrication shop. Okay. These are the certain advantages, disadvantages, and the applications. We can use the soldering process, but normally we prefer the soldering process for the electronic equipments only, rather this mechanical parts. Okay. The next process, that is last one. What happened? So everybody has mobile, no? You can start now. Now next process is the brazing process. How come disconnect? You can start.